Welcome back to GAA Fan TV. My name is Aaron. I hope the form is well. And this is the Hurling All-Stars, the GAA Fan TV Hurling Team of the Year. A couple of days to make this video, but we are here nonetheless to break down who I believe should be winning All-Stars come December, or whenever they're doing All-Stars, or whenever they're giving the All-Stars out. I think it's December usually, or maybe are they bringing that forward as well. I'm not entirely sure, but look, that's besides the point. We're here to give out the All-Stars here on GAA Fan TV. This is the real All-Stars. This is the real team of the year right here. I mean, forget the official All-Stars, although a lot of players on this team will win official All-Stars. But anyway, you get my point. I'm kind of rambling on a bit here. But this is the GAA Fan TV Hurling Team of the Year. Now, do bear in mind, this is my opinion, but feel free to disagree in the comments down below. Let me know who you would put in as the best Hurling 15 of the Championship in 2022. Let me know in the comments down below. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get straight into it. Okay, we'll start off with the goalkeeper, and, well, to be honest, there was really only two choices, and it was between Owen Murphy and Nicky Quaid, and do you know what? Like, I feel very bad for either one of these two, that one of the two has to miss out. And to be honest with you, this was probably one of the toughest decisions in the entire team, because, like, if you could include two goalkeepers, I would gladly do so, but it would look very silly if you threw a goalkeeper in a cornerback. But ultimately, I've gone for Nicky Quaid. Look, I know Owen Murphy's been fantastic for Kilkenny. He's been an incredible servant the last couple of seasons, and he's not really he hasn't done anything wrong. Do you know what I mean? He's not. It's not like he's not getting into this team because he's not good enough for anything like that. Like, he's been absolutely fantastic, but I think Nicky Quaid has just been exceptional and better, in my opinion. Do you know that way? Like, I think his puckouts for me is what gets him in here. Like, I think both have made big saves when they've needed to. I think both have been outstanding in regards to that. But Nicky Quaid's puckouts in the final was unbelievable. Like, such good puckouts, hitting it left, hitting it right, hitting in the right corner of the field, the left corner, picking out players in midfield, spotting free men, spotting the free runners. It was just exceptional, and I think that was for me the main difference between the two. Like, Owen Murphy's puckouts at times were too diagonal. I know that was the game plan, and it wasn't really so much his fault or anything like that. Like, he was getting brilliant accuracy on his puckouts, and it was obviously down to the forwards and everything else to win the ball, and sort of down to the tactics that they employed in the game. But I think at the same time, you know, Nicky Quaid's been exceptional. He's been absolutely brilliant. I mean, what a servant he's been for Limerick, and I thought he was absolutely brilliant with his puckouts. Some big saves at different times as well. So yeah, Nicky Quaid in goal for me. We move into the full-back line, and in at right corner-back, it is Mikey Butler of Kilkenny. And, I mean, Mikey Butler has been outstanding and potentially another contender for Hurler of the Year as well, in my opinion. I think he's definitely in with a shout. I mean, he kept Tony Kelly scoreless from play. He kept Graham Mulcahy scoreless from play as well in the All-Ireland final. So, like, this guy's been absolutely outstanding. He did a fantastic job as well on the Galway. I can't remember who he was marking now in the Galway game. Might have been Conor Whelan, but I know he had a brilliant game in that one as well in the Leinster final. And, like, Kilkenny's defence in general has been excellent, hasn't it? Like, you think of it, they didn't concede any goals, obviously, against Galway. No goals conceded in the semi-final, and 1 goal conceded in the final against Limerick. But I mean, that was just an unbelievable goal really from Grode Hegarty. So, like, defensively, Kilkenny have been absolutely excellent in the Championship, and I think Mikey Butler has been outstanding. You know, brilliant carrying the ball out as well. But it's been mainly his defensive attributes, like keeping Tony Kelly scoreless from play in an All-Ireland semi-final. Now, that's impressive, and the job he done on Graham Mulcahy, the job he's done throughout the entirety of the Championship's been brilliant. So, yeah, Mikey Butler in at right cornerback. Fullback then is Hugh Lawler, and another very excellent player for Kilkenny this year. Brilliant veteran for Kilkenny over the last couple of seasons, and Hugh Lawler has been brilliant. And, you know, he was marking Shamey Flanagan in the final, and he done a great job there as well. Kept down Shamey Flanagan's influence in the game throughout the entirety of the game, and just was very, very solid from a Kilkenny point of view. You think of it, like, Limerick had that 1 goal chance, or they had that goal from Grode Hegarty. They didn't have too many other goal chances, really. And I know Limerick were sort of, they weren't focused too much on creating goals because of the fact that, you know, they had, they were always sort of in front, so they never needed a goal. But at the same time, you know, like, Hugh Lawler has been excellent from a Kilkenny perspective. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. His passing as well has been very good, sort of in terms of, you know, those long range puckouts out from defence. So yeah, Hugh Lawler for me has been excellent, so I'll throw him in at fullback. Left cornerback is Barry Nash, and again, another player who you just cannot leave out. And it's another player as well who could be another contender for Hurler of the Year. Like, there's a lot of contenders, really, when you really think about it. But I think Barry Nash has been one of the best players for Limerick. And that's saying something, because Limerick, you could put this guy's been the best player for Limerick with almost any player, because they've been that good and they're such a great team. Like, they've got so many stars all around the field. But Barry Nash has been excellent, and like those driving runs at times as well. You know, he's been able to get points at times from cornerback. I think he's finished the season with 4 or 5 points, which has been outstanding. You know, when all the focus has been on trying to stop Limerick's half-back line, and it's been targeting, you know, Dan Morrissey at wing-back or Declan Hannon at centre-back, you know, like Barry Nash has stood up and been absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, for me, Barry Nash gets in there at left cornerback. Moving into the half-back line then, in right half-back we've Diarmaid Byrnes. Can't be any complaints here whatsoever. One of the hurlers of the year. His freeze has been exceptional. I mean, the distance he can get on the ball is incredible. And I know a lot of people sometimes give out and they say, oh, you know, the whole why are players scoring from inside their own half, and, you know, is the sliotar too light? Do they need to put more weight on it? Do they maybe need to change the rules where you can't score from inside your own half, or something like that? To be honest, I think you just have to give these players credit. You just have to give these lads credit. You know what I mean? It's very easy when you're sitting at home at, you know, on the couch with about 16 cans of, I don't know, what's good cans to drink. Hop House is a lovely drink, to be fair. If you're sitting at home with them and you're thinking, oh, it's so easy to be scoring inside your own half and all the rest, like, come on. You know, there's a lot of talent required to be doing that, and I think Diarmaid Byrnes has been brilliant at doing so. And as well, you factor in, and Declan Hannon's the man who's playing in at centre-back, and I would put Declan Hannon and Diarmaid Byrnes in the same bracket when discussing the fact that you've seen Kilkenny floating those long balls into Limerick's half-back line, into Kilkenny's half-forward line, and sort of the full forwards pushing in. You've seen Declan Hannon catching high ball time and time again, breaking out with the ball quickly, evading challenges. You know, some heavy challenges going in on the likes of Hannon and Diarmaid Byrnes as they be breaking out. Be very easy for them to overcarry, lose possession, you know, go down and potentially, you know, try and draw a foul. But they would carry on and they would play through that pressure and they play through that swarm. And I think that's something that you have to give both lads credit for, in my opinion. So, yeah, Diarmaid Byrnes in a right half-back, Declan Hannon at centre-back. In a left half-back, and it is Pádraig Mannion. And what a guy, what a player this lad has been for Galway this year. I mean, Galway, what a year they had in general under Henry Shefflin. An excellent year, in my opinion. Coming very close to beating Galway, or beating Limerick. You could arguably say they were closer than beating Limerick than Kilkenny were. But, yeah, Pádraig Mannion's been outstanding for this Galway side. You know, the thing that impressed me the most about Galway versus Limerick was how patient they were on the ball at times. They didn't rush chances. They were composed for large parts, and I think Pádraig Mannion was key to that. He's got big points when Galway have needed it. Defensively, he's been solid as well. I think Pádraig Mannion's been brilliant. So, yeah, we'll throw Pádraig Mannion in at left half-back. Moving into the midfield then, and first up is David Fitzgerald of Clare. It's a shoe-in for me. Absolute shoe-in. 218 from play, from midfield. Outstanding. Like, an absolute breakout year in terms of scoring-wise from David Fitzgerald. Like, I always remember him as being a very good player, and obviously, you know, sort of being around the blocks for Clare in the last couple of seasons, and it's a player that obviously, you know, a lot of people would have been aware of in Clare of the last couple of seasons. But this year he's just took it to another level. I mean, 218 from play is outstanding, and, you know, he's been one of the key shining lights for this Clare side. And I know a lot of people look at Tony Kelly and Shane O'Donnell as some of the stars of this Clare side, and rightly so. I think Tony Kelly is an absolute star in himself, and we'll get on to him a little bit later, spoiler alert. But Davy Fitz, I mean, obviously not Davy Fitz the manager, David Fitzgerald, I suppose, to differentiate. He's been outstanding. 218, unbelievable stuff. So yeah, absolutely no complaints there. And another man who scored 218 from play, Joseph Cooney. He's been brilliant for Galway. You know, again, 218 from play is exceptional. Absolutely brilliant, you know, and getting himself into fantastic positions at times. Probably could have found himself with more goals and points at different stages, but he's been brilliant for Galway as well. Excellent around the middle, sort of dropping into the midfield as a spare man in midfield as well. He's got a couple of big challenges in big blocks in as well. You know, and Limerick at times struggled to play through the lines against Galway. Galway were turning them over at times, winning, getting a lot of turnovers, getting a lot of joy there. And I felt like Joseph Cooney was essential to that. So, yeah, a midfield pairing of David Fitzgerald and Joseph Cooney. No complaints there whatsoever. We then move into the half-forward line, and in at right half-forward, we have Gearóid Hegarty, and no surprises whatsoever. I mean, if you score 1-5 in the All-Ireland final from play, and you score the decisive goal that essentially wins the game in many ways, then I think you look at him as a shoo-in, really. But not only has he scored 1-5 in the final, but he's actually scored 216 from play in total, which is fantastic, isn't it? I mean, what a player he is. I mean, he's physically strong. He's hard to dispossess. He's not the quickest necessarily. He's not the paciest, but he's so tall, and it's just so hard to get the ball off him. Like, I feel like he shrugs people off when they're trying to get challenges in. He's like a mountain, in my opinion. I think that's how I'd compare him. The mountain of Limerick in many ways. Like, he is just such a strong man by the looks of it. He really, really is. And, you know, I think one thing that's probably underrated or about Gearóid Hegarty's game, or people don't see in Gearóid Hegarty's game, is technically. Like, I think a lot of people look at, you know, Aaron Gillan or Cole Hayes, Cian Lynch when he's playing, Tom Morrissey. These lads is more skillful and technically brilliant hurlers. And look, maybe they are. Maybe that's a conversation for another day. But I think a lot of the time people underestimate the influence of Gearóid Hegarty that he has, and they sort of leave him right, like, well, he's not really going to do much on the ball. But he does, time and time again. I mean, he scored 2-2 in the final last year. He scored, I think, 7 points the year previous. He's been absolutely breathtaking from a Limerick point of view. And Hurler of the Year, we will discuss that at the end of this video, but he could be in the conversation, let's put it that way. So, yeah, Gearóid Hegarty in at right half forward. In a centre forward, it is TJ Reid, and I don't think there can be any surprises here. 265 in total this year. Obviously, the majority of them have been from frees. No real complaints there, but 265 in general. He scored 214 from play, so or 213 from play, I should say. So, you know, he's still contributing quite a lot from play. Like, the narrative that it's only frees that he's getting is completely false, and a lot of those frees are very difficult a lot of the time as well. Like, it requires a lot of skill to, you know, be scoring those difficult frees, especially in big games such as All-Ireland finals. So, yeah, I think TJ Reid has been an absolute stalwart for Kilkenny. We've seen some of the high balls he caught against Limerick as well. He caused that Limerick defence all sorts of problems time and time again. And, you know, he's just been an absolute servant for this Kilkenny side and a legend for this Kilkenny side over the last 10 years or so. You would wonder, you know, how many years he's got left in the tank. That will be interesting to see over the next couple of seasons. But, you know, he certainly isn't slowing down, put it that way. I think he's got more years in the tank, in my opinion, and an excellent performance in the final, an excellent season from TJ Reid. So, yeah, TJ Reid in at centre forward. In at left half forward, it's Kyle Hayes, and, you know, Kyle Hayes maybe didn't score as much as some of the other forwards in this team. He did score 3 points, I think, in the final, or 2 points off the top of my head. And I thought he was excellent in the final as well. Like, I definitely think Kyle Hayes plays a lot better when he's sort of further down the pitch. I think when he's up close to goal, I don't think you get the best of him personally. You know, and I think when he was playing in a corner forward, you weren't really seeing the best of him, in my opinion. But I think since he's dropped back into that half forward line in the semi-final and in the final, I think he's been absolutely brilliant. Those driving runs that we see him do so often, the solo, you know, the sort of the Hayes solo now nearly that we can call it. He's almost trademarking it in many ways. He's been absolutely brilliant, and, you know, like many of the Limerick forwards, I mean, and there's so many great forwards, it's hard to leave certain players out, but yeah, I think Kyle Hayes has been brilliant, and, you know, he tracked back quite a lot in the All-Ireland final as well, which I don't think a lot of people picked up on. So yeah, Kyle Hayes for me in at left half forward. We then move into the full forward line, and in a right corner forward, it is Aaron Gillan, and there can't be no surprises here whatsoever. 321 from play, which is absolutely outstanding. 347 in total, but 321 from play. Do you know, like, that is very, very impressive in my opinion. And look, he probably didn't, I wouldn't say he was, you know, he had a bad final or anything like that, but he probably didn't have as big an influence as Gearóid Hegarty, as Kyle Hayes, or maybe as some of, you know, the other players in the Limerick side, but he didn't need to, you know. And that's the thing about Limerick, is they just find players from everywhere really to sort of come on and contribute, and whether it's lads coming off the bench making a difference as well. But Yeah, look, I think 321 from play speaks volumes. I don't really need to say much more. Brilliant at catching ball off the shoulder. He scored some big goals and in big moments as well. His accuracy's been absolutely fantastic. So yeah, no complaints. Aaron Gillan in at right corner forward. In at centre forward, or well, full forward actually, I should say, it is Tony Kelly, and no complaints here again. I mean, he scored 24 points from play, 154 in total. Absolutely outstanding season once again from Tony Kelly. I know he didn't score from play in the All-Ireland semi-final, and Mikey Butler certainly had him in his pocket, make no mistake about that. But I think all in all, Tony Kelly has been unbelievable. And is he the best hurler in the country? He's in the conversation anyway, isn't he? I don't think he wins Hurler of the Year this year, obviously with the fact that Clare were knocked out in the All-Ireland semi-final. But, I do think he probably gets a nomination. He's definitely a contender in my opinion. And again, just excellent, scoring bit. You think at that point by the sideline against Limerick in the Munster final. I mean, I couldn't believe it, how he just stepped up, calm as you like, no pressure whatsoever. The fact that if he misses that, I know Limerick won the game anyway, but Limerick would have won that in normal time. He just slots it over the bar like he did it. He was doing it in his sleep, like he had his eyes closed. It was just absolutely brilliant. And I think he's a phenomenal hurler, technically absolutely brilliant. And look, I know the semi-final performance would be disappointing from his point of view, but sometimes I think you've got to say Mikey Butler just had an outstanding game that day. So yeah, I think from a Tony Kelly perspective, excellent year, and he gets in a full forward. In at left corner forward then, it is Conor Whelan. And I'm going to be surprised. I've seen a lot of other people's team of the years, and I've seen the Sunday game team of the year, and I've been surprised Conor Whelan hasn't been included. I mean, he scored 218 from play, which is absolutely brilliant, and I think he's been crucial for Galway. Like, I think his performance throughout the majority of the Leinster Championship, I thought, was absolutely brilliant. He had a wonderful performance, I remember, against Dublin. He was excellent that day against Kilkenny in the game that they won, obviously, in the late free in the round robin. So I think Conor Whelan's been outstanding. 218 from play, I think, speaks for itself. Excellent year from a Galway perspective. He's been brilliant in and around that corner forward position. Had some brilliant moments, obviously, against Limerick as well. I think he might have been the one who got the goal. Although don't quote me on that, but yeah, he's been absolutely brilliant. So yeah, Conor Whelan gets in there for me. In terms of some honourable mentions then, I mean, Éanna Murphy was another player. Obviously we mentioned Owen Murphy. Éanna Murphy, I suppose, from a Galway perspective, potentially a dark horse, maybe getting in at goalkeeper. Mike Casey had a very good year from a Limerick perspective, and probably very unlucky not to get in there a fullback. Rory Hayes has been very good as well. I suppose you've also got, like, looking through some of the cornerbacks, I mean, Jack Grealish, I thought, had a great year for Galway. I thought he was very, very impressive, and I thought he had a good year. Moving into the wing-backs then, Dermot Ryan was very good. Michael Carey, Paddy Deegan even as well for Kilkenny. I thought he was very good offensively in the final, albeit, Grode Hegarty was the man he was marking. In terms of midfield, I mean, the Limerick midfield was very good as well. William O'Donoghue and William O'Donoghue and Dara O'Donovan. I almost mixed that up for some reason, but Dan Morrissey as well at wing back, to be fair, also had a very good season, I felt, for Limerick. He was also a dark horse in my opinion. Moving into the forwards then, our potential dark horses. Donald Burke had a very good year from a Dublin perspective. Killian Doyle, I think, finished as one of the top scorers in the championship for Westmeath. He was very, very good. Shane O'Donnell was absolutely outstanding for Clare, so I think he definitely deserves a mention. Aaron Shanahan had a fairly decent season, especially coming off the bench. Made an impact a couple of times. Seamus Flanagan, Desi Hutchinson to a certain extent for Waterford was decent enough, until obviously Waterford got knocked out. So yeah, I mean, they're my honourable mentions anyway, but let me know in the comments down below who your honourable mentions are. In terms of Hurler of the Year then, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. I mean, recency bias is a real thing, and it would be very easy to look towards Grode Hegarty. I was nearly going to say Tony Hegarty. Grode Hegarty after his performance. I'm going to do a top three. So I think number 3 for me, Mikey Butler, Kilkenny. As I said before, you keep Tony Kelly scoreless from play. the job on Graham Mulcahy was excellent in the final. Graham Mulcahy was very quiet, to be fair. You actually wonder why Butler didn't pick up Gallant, to be honest. I feel like that would have been a better matchup in terms of limiting his influence, albeit Aaron Gallant wasn't as explosive as he did in other games. But yeah, Mikey Butler for me at 3. Number 2, I'm tempted to go David Fitzgerald of Clare. I think he's very, very close. But I'm going to go with Hegarty as number 2. 216 from play is outstanding. Key goal against Galway in the semi-finals. Key goal in the final as well. 1-5 from play. Recency bias might be a real thing, but his performance in the final was outstanding. But in terms of hurler of the year, it's Aaron Gallant. And look, if you have the name Aaron, you're doing something right. And Aaron Gallant is doing a lot right. Let's be honest. He is doing a lot right. As we said before, 3-21 from play is just, it's next level. It's just extraordinary, unbelievable. It's unheard of. It's not unheard of because we've seen it before, but it's very, very good. It's very, very good. And, I think he's been outstanding all year round. Mr. Consistent, Aaron Gallant. So, yeah, Aaron Gallant, hurler of the year. Shall we do a young hurler of the year then? I think Cian Kenny. Kenny's been very good. 1-7 from play in total. I think his total in the end. I think he's been an excellent introduction, I suppose, into the Kilkenny side, you could say. I think Owen Cody, I'm not too sure if he's still eligible for Young Hurler of the Year. He could potentially be in there. Kieran Joyce of Cork's obviously had a very good season. Cathal O'Neill, I think, has been outstanding, but Cathal O'Neill hasn't started too often, so probably not him. But yeah, I think Cian Kenny's been very good from a Kilkenny perspective. I know he didn't score in the final, but I think he had a very, very good season. So yeah, Cian Kenny as Young Hurler of the Year. In terms of Manager of the Year, I've seen a lot of people give it to Brian Cody, obviously friend of the channel, GAA Statsman. I've seen he gave Brian Cody Manager of the Year, and I can certainly understand it. I don't think Kilkenny were expected to get to the final this year in most people's eyes, so I can understand that. And obviously the performance against Limerick was exceptional. 226 in total that they scored, and he had a very, very good year. Plenty of rumours actually going about that he might be leaving. Potentially by the time this video comes out, he may have already been gone, but we will obviously do another video if that happens. But for me, he's not Manager of the Year. I just think John Coyley, I just don't think you can dismiss it. Look, I know obviously he's won the last 2 All-Irelands and he's been outstanding, but if you look at Limerick this season, Waterford gave their best performance of the championship season against Limerick. Tipperary gave their best championship performance of the season against Limerick. Clare gave their best championship performance of the season against Limerick. Galway gave their best championship performance of the season against Limerick. You know what's coming next? Kilkenny gave their best championship performance of the season against Limerick, and none of them beat Limerick. Limerick still won. So I think that tells you how good John Coyley's been. And as well as that, he's been able to identify, and I know Paul Kinnerk obviously has to take a lot of credit for this as well, but the players he's brought on from the bench a lot of the time has been key. He's brought David Reedy on in the semi-final, makes a big impact. You bring Cathal O'Neill, Colin Coughlin as well. These lads making big difference coming off the bench as well. So these lads are making a huge impact for Limerick coming off the bench. And just little tactical changes, little switches, moving Cathal Hayes further back in the pitch in different games has been key as well. And look, it's 3 in a row. And when you factor in, every game Limerick have faced this year, they faced some sort of adversity. They were behind against Tipperary. There was moments where they struggled against Waterford. You thought, they might struggle here against Clare. They nearly got beat there. Against Galway, they were losing at one stage. Kilkenny levelled it, in the All-Ireland final and thought they might struggle. Or you thought Limerick maybe were on the ropes. But he's been outstanding. So, yeah, John Coyley, Manager of the Year. But anyway, we'll go ahead and wrap this up here. Let me know your thoughts and your comments in the comments down below. Let me know what disagreements you have. I'm sure there'll be plenty. And let me know who you think is Hurler of the Year, Manager of the Year, Young Hurler of the Year as well. And do stay tuned. The Tailteann Cup All-Stars will be out tomorrow. I know it's coming a little bit later than I would have liked, but man's been busy lately. What can I say? But yeah, let me know in the comments down below who are your picks for Hurler of the Year, and I'll see you all later.